Emergentism delves into one of the most profound questions in philosophy and neuroscience. How does consciousness arise from complex systems, particularly the human brain? Today we will explore how the interactions of simpler components in the brain gives rise to self-awareness. Emergentism is a philosophical perspective that states that consciousness emerges from the interaction of simpler elements within a system. It suggests that consciousness is not a property of individual parts, but rather a result of their complex interrelationships. A well-known example of emergence is water, composed of hydrogen and oxygen atoms. It has properties like being a liquid at room temperature that neither hydrogen nor oxygen possesses individually. Let's talk about the complexity of the brain. The brain is an immensely complex organ. It composes of billions of neurons and neural networks. These neurons transmit electrical signals and form intricate networks that possess information. The brain structure also includes specialized regions, each responsible for different functions from visual processing to decision making in the frontal lobe. Now, these regions work together seamlessly, carrying out complex cognitive processes such as memory, perception, and reasoning. Ultimately, it is the integrated activity of these components that gives rise to consciousness, the subjective experience of awareness of both the self and the external world. Now, in processing information, the brain relies on two primary mechanisms, the bottom up and the top down processing. The bottom up processing starts with raw sensory input, like light entering our eyes or sound waves reaching our ears, and builds a perception from this data. In contrast, top-down processing is influenced by prior knowledge or expectations. Our brain uses past experiences to interpret and make sense of new sensory information, allowing for faster recognition of familiar objects and faces. Then there is the binding problem. The binding problem addresses one of the most perplexing questions in neuroscience. How does the brain integrate different sensory inputs into a coherent, unified experience? For instance, when you see an apple, you feel its texture and smell its aroma. How does your brain combine these distinct sensory modalities into the perception of a single object? Solving the binding problem is crucial to understanding how consciousness integrates diverse information into one unified experience. Then we have integrated information theory, which offers a compelling framework for understanding consciousness. It poses that consciousness is a measure of a system's ability to integrate information across its components. The theory suggests that the more interconnected and complex a system is, the greater its capacity for consciousness. In this way, consciousness emerges not from any one neuron or brain region, but from the brain's overall ability to process or integrate information. Consciousness is seen as an emergent property of the brain. As billions of neurons and networks interact and integrate information, consciousness arises from these processes. Just as water has emergent properties from hydrogen and oxygen, consciousness emerges from the complex interactions of simpler elements in the brain. The study of emergentism has profound implications, particularly for the field of neuroscience and artificial intelligence. As we understand more about how consciousness arises in humans, we may be able to replicate some processes in machines, raising both opportunities and ethical considerations. Could we create machines with consciousness? How might this affect the way we think about artificial intelligence and human machine interaction?